Hello again all. If you've been here for any amount of time, you will know that I'm involved in medieval living history and reenactment, or as Fiery Jack prefers to call it, historical interpretation. What you may not know is that the household that we portray is actually an Italian family and not an English one. You may be wondering why it is that an English group has chosen to portray an Italian family when there are plenty of English families to go round. Well, if you'd like to find out, please stick around for Domus Lunaris Storytime, Part 1. Myself and my friend Gilly Bean had done a couple of events as guests of the Towton Longbowmen, and we were down at our Qigong class raving about the upcoming event that we were looking forward to, and a couple of our friends in the class wondered what the heck we were talking about. So when we told them, they thought it sounded like a lot of fun and could they come along as well, which they did, and they thoroughly enjoyed themselves. And by the end of the weekend it was decided that we would actually start a household of our own. Now, having seen all the costumes and the kit that other reenactors were wearing, I was very keen that our household should have the colours of purple and black because, well, goth really. Unfortunately, in England at the time, there were sumptuary laws which strictly forbade anybody but royalty or clergy from wearing purple, or at least a particular shade of purple. And also, in order to get black fabric, the fabric had to be of such high quality that it could cope with the over-dyeing process, that it was very, very expensive. So therefore I was struggling to find a rationale for us wearing the purple and black colours that I wanted. That was, however, I had a phone call from a friend of mine saying, "I'm watching this programme, you've got to see it." He promptly pressed the record button on his skybox. When I went down to see him, what he'd recorded was a documentary from the History Channel showing the difference between the longbow and the crossbow. And while we were watching it, we saw this.
La possibilità di centrare, di avvicinarsi di più al centro dei bersagli determinano poi la possibilità di accedere ai tiri finali per disputare poi, per aggiudicarsi il tanto ambito palio.
What we were seeing was the Palio della Balestra that takes place in Gubbio every May. Now, in England, during times of conflict, each area would produce its own militia. So the 2nd Northumberland Fusiliers or the 14th Lincolnshire Light Horse, that kind of thing. In Italy, each area would produce what was called a Company of the People. And within the Company of the People of both Gubbio, San Sepolcro and a number of other towns in the region, there would be a small specialist unit of balestrieri, and their sole function was to protect the town. For the past 450 years, the balestrieri of Gubbio and San Sepolcro have been having a twice yearly competition to see whose balestrieri are the best. And it just so happens that the livery colours of the Gubbio balestrieri are purple and black. And there was my justification for the house colours that I wanted. I immediately sent off an email to the administrative head, or, equivalent of the mayor, if you like, of Gubbio, explaining who I was and what I did, and asking for his permission to use the Gubbio Company of the People as the factual basis of our fictional group. It made perfect sense because during the War of the Roses, both sides made heavy use of foreign mercenaries from all over Europe because they didn't have enough fighters of their own. We started out just as a reasonably small mercenary camp. As time went on, we kind of got over the whole let's just sit around and watch the world go by thing at camp. We wanted to do more, we wanted to show more. So our displays have enlarged and improved. Our camp has enlarged and improved. We've got bigger, nicer tents, and we've got a bigger, nicer setup. And our mentor nudged us quite heavily into upping our status from mercenary to nobility, because the camp was a reflection more of a noble status than a mercenary one. So that kind of made sense. Once again, I did the research and I found that the most important family in Gubbio at the time were the Gabriellis. Now, I didn't want to offend any descendants of the original Gabrielli family, so I created a fictional branch of the Gabriellis, but all the information that we give about the family and about life as nobility in Italy at the time is as accurate as we can possibly make it. During the War of the Roses, Pope Pius III sent an envoy over to England to try and encourage the Yorkists and Lancastrians to sort out their family squabbles, because of course a divided England was not paying its dues to Holy Mother Church, and the Pope was getting a bit ticked off with that. So that's our premise, as well as mercenary militia. Our premise for being in England is as papal mercenaries. Being Italian gives us a little bit more leeway than it would if we were an English household, in terms of the way we choose to present ourselves, in terms of the fabrics. Italy was 100 years into its Renaissance by the late 1470s. England was yet to start its own. Italy was roughly 100 years ahead of the rest of Europe at this point. So in England, all the ladies were still veiled and wimpled, whereas in Italy it was all about braids and bling. So I don't have to have my head covered. I've got very ornate hair pieces with all, nice neatly plaited bits that I can stick in at camp, and nice jewellery on my hair and in my hair. I'm walking around in bright pink lipstick because that was the fashion for Italian nobles at the time. Italy was the centre of damask production in the late 1400s, so one of my dresses is cotton damask, again something that in England you wouldn't necessarily have had. So it gives us leeway. We can have a bit more fun with things in a way. As a group, we endeavour to put on the very best show that we can, and in many ways we are as much a theatre company as we are a reenactment society. We are the set designers, the set builders, the set decorators, the set dressers. We are the script writers, we are the scene shifters, as well as being the cast. And it's important for us that we get it as right as we possibly can. We want to put on a good show for the public. We want to be as accurate as possible, and that hard work and that dedication has really paid off this year at Hurstman's Show, which is one of the biggest medieval fairs in England, and for us one of the most important. We won the overall living history competition. Hugely satisfying for the whole group. Real recognition of the hard work that everybody's put in over the years. There is actually a part 2 to Domus Lunaris Storytime. Back in May, I was fortunate enough to actually go to Gubbio and see the crossbow competition for myself. So if you would like to check that out, that will be coming up soon. But otherwise, until I see you again, take care. Bye.